Jake Stringer. Okay, now this is a report that has come out today that the AFL Integrity has warned Essendon over Nick Hine, Jake Stringer's associates and others. Now, we've been working on this story for a couple of weeks, and well done to the Herald Sun. I'm not sure who the reporter was there who got it up, but that we're following this story closely, and it has been sort of tempering some of the comments we've been making about whether Jake Stringer might even go to Collingwood. It's been a talk behind the scenes in football for the last fortnight amongst clubs that there have been people getting into the Essendon rooms that the AFL Integrity Department have said they shouldn't be there. What do you think, guys? It's a tough one, because a lot of these guys, they're knockabouts, they grow up, they have mates, you know, all the rest of it. I mean, I grew up in Broadmeadows. I knew everyone who was in and out. We used to go to the boxing to see who was out and who was in. If you're in racing, football and boxing in this town, you know everybody. And it gets hard sometimes, though, doesn't it? Yeah, well, the interesting part for me is he's in a tricky position. Part of me feels that the Bombers are wondering whether they'd be a better place without him. Yeah. So he wants... Is this the one... This is why getting 1 year off for Essendon, not two? Yeah, 1 year, and say, if you can find two, good luck to you. We'll take you at what we think's fair, but good luck to you. So Jake probably thinks I've played my last game, but this certainly isn't going to help him in regards to other clubs. Could he walk back into the Bombers, Lordo, under these circumstances? Well, he's got a contract, so the Bombers would have no choice to take him back. It's not the situation he would want. Yeah, the shade around it, it's why clubs, even before this story was broken this afternoon in the Herald Sun, Ed, that they were reticent. I mean, we know that were people at Collingwood arguing for him heavily, and there were equally people at Collingwood saying, we are not touching him. Yeah. I'd imagine today has probably pushed it over the edge. We've also reported, Lordo, that the Sydney Swans will have an interest in him once their season finishes, but you just don't know what effect this type of reporting has. Yeah, and the AFL's all over it. This is why I've been talking about they've got to get tougher on the drug rules. It's not about, yes, we can look after the player and all that type of thing. We're all in on that, maybe on the first strike. But as I've said, the underworld is bigger in this town. It's a completely changed game. You know, the old days, some of the big-name crooks would ring a club and say, you want to pull somebody's nose in, they're misbehaving. They'd actually look after them at these places. It's changing, and that and the betting and all these other things are all there. There's a lot of things that just bubble on under the surface, and, of course, we can put up with it until then it goes and it tips, and then it's a big story. Zach Merrett, let's go to Zach Merrett. It's an interesting one because Zach Merrett went in to Essendon and said, hey, give them the 2 years. Do you reckon that Brad Scott says, hey, Zach, you're a captain, we listen to what you've got to say, but don't go public with it and let us worry about those things? Yeah. Well, I think that's how it has unfolded, Ed, and I think it's only valid that Essendon does that. And before we go any deeper into the Zach Merrett story, let's take a look where it actually started from a public sense, because Tom Morris reported this, and while there were some disputes around how this was received, this story was accurately presented.
St Kilda is chasing their captain, Zach Merrett, who's got 3 years remaining on a contract. It's a bold ploy, it's brash, it's aggressive. That's what the Saints do. There's no formal contract offer yet, Jimmy, but there is an acknowledgement that's been made from the Saints to the Merrett camp that they would be prepared to offer a Godfather deal. I'm talking more than $1 million a year. He's not on $1 million a year at the moment, and a long-term arrangement.
So the denials came and they were expected, and Tom presented it in that fashion. He expected them to come, but they didn't deny what he actually reported. No. And my take on it is, having now seen what Tom had done and made my own calls on it, is that this is nothing more than a potential cash grab from the management of Zach Merrett to get his contract up to the levels that they feel he should be on. Now, he's got a deal that's about $900,000 thereabouts for the next season and a bit. It doesn't have the increases in the TPP that some contracts do have. They want that. I understand why they would want that, and that's why they was hoping for something to budge, and something may budge from an Essendon perspective.
Jimmy, what about as a footy director where, say, if a player is, I've heard reports he might be around the 800 mark, but if he's playing as $1 million player and you go, you know what, the way he's performing, he is worthy of, how often do they go, yeah, we will give you a little bit more, or is it just that you redo the whole contract? Because I think he does deserve to be on more. Whether done it the right way, that's another situation.
Jack Darling's asked for a trade. Sorry, go on.
No, you can restructure them any way you want, Lloydie, and I agree with you. Sometimes they come back, and it could be in your best benefit. You add an extra year or two on, and that's where they get that extra 100 or 200 by sort of, it looks like you're extending their career, but you're smoothing it out really well.